And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day, committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around your real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, and so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Our number one goals are to educate, entertain, enlighten, and we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace. And we want you to save our hotline number in your phone. At some point, you're going to need it. 813-670-7372. That's our consumer advocate hotline, 813-670-7372. And bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. consumerqb.com. You can see links to all of our expert contributors, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region that we've assembled, we've vetted, and we bring on the air to help you understand more about your daily decisions, help you avoid a lot of that commission-based advice that's so prevalent out there in our community. So, Intelligent Talk Radio, I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me today. Fred Muth, a.k.a. the Tin Man, representing Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Welcome back in.
Well, thank you very much, Brandon. And I'm the opening act. Wow.
That's right.
Okay. So, we got some heavy hitters here, I see. Talking to them in the break room there. That's going to be a good show. I promise you that.
Yes, sir. Yes. Also in studio.
5 o'clock drive is terrible. I hope nobody's in a traffic jam out there.
Attorney Jason Coball in the house. Coball Law, PA. Welcome in.
Sir, thank you, Brandon. Here today to talk about a new change in the workers' comp law, and it's always a pleasure being here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate you coming as well and bringing some intelligent talk to our program and talking about consumer. This is an area that we really want to expound on. So thank you for coming in as well. Icy Gooley in the house as well. Yes. President and CEO, Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services.
Yes, and I'm very happy to be here. I want to talk about the various services that we provide throughout the Tampa Bay region, Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough County.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So down payment assistance programs, there's a lot of available monies that people don't understand. So it's kind of like almost like a treasure chest of money just waiting to be found. Right. So it was great meeting Wanda as well at one of the meetings that I frequent, one of the real estate meetings. And we were talking. I said, wow, this is great. We need to talk about this on air. So appreciate you coming in. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the discussion today.
Absolutely. It's going to be good stuff. Let's give a shout out to our official hotel partner. We've got Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach is our hotel partner. Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on St. Pete Beach. It's a whitewashed Mediterranean palace with expansive luxury suites. You've got balconies with suites overlooking the intercoastal waterway. You've got the rooftop yoga on the weekends, and we have the beautiful Castile restaurant on site. The restaurant is a Castile restaurant. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner available at the Castile restaurant at Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach. So it's a whitewashed Mediterranean palace. Now, if you haven't stayed down there, let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. You're going to get 20% off of your room stay over at Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora, our official hotel partner, right on the beach. Beautiful place to live, work, and play is Tampa Bay. Sun is shining, the weather is sweet. And as the owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay, I got a couple of hot properties I want to let you know about. This property is on Himes Avenue in Carrollwood. It's 15648 North Himes Avenue, $485,000. Great property here. North Forest Village, 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, over 4,300 square feet, $485,000. A great buying opportunity. Now, beautiful property on Clearwater Beach, just reduced as well. 1024 Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach, $739,000 over at the north side of the beach. Beautiful property, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and literally you walk across the street and you're on the sugar sand beaches of North Clearwater Beach at 1024 Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater. All right, here in studio, we're going to help you win. We're going to jump into it with Fred Muth, a.k.a. the Tin Man in the house.
Not to be confused with Danny DeVito. So come on. That's the old movie.
Yeah, the old movie, the Danny DeVito movie, right?
Danny and I don't look much alike.
No.
I don't think so.
No, you're much more handsome.
I know Danny is. Yeah,
No,
he's a
you are.
handsome
I
dude.
said you are, Fred.
Right.
I'm giving you a compliment
Hopefully
there.
he'll call me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. In our business, we enhance the beauty of your new beautiful home, and we put the pool enclosure, screen enclosure, etc. on the rear, which I've talked about so many times. This week alone, I bid 2 jobs actually with the panoramic view that we talked about. It's the wide open view on the back.
Nice.
And I can go on and on and on, which I will. But my hat needs to go off to Icy, because what I'm doing with one individual home, you're doing with a neighborhood.
Yes.
And I, for the life of me, I cannot figure out, in this beautiful country that we have, I can drive around, I don't care what city it is, and you come across these dilapidated areas that never change. And of course, there's a reason for it, but there's no reasoning for it. And
Right.
and I see it, and it just breaks my heart. So I really like what you do.
Thank you very much.
It's the concept of your business is phenomenal.
Because we have to realize today we're all connected as a community.
Right.
So what is not being done in one neighborhood is affecting all of us.
Yeah.
Because today, and many left behind neighborhoods throughout the country, that's where you find a lot of your social ills.
Mm-hmm.
You find your economic disadvantages. So, and you find most of your absentee slumlords
Right.
who prey on those individuals that are not financially knowledgeable about what's out there. And some may have challenges with credit. So it's the pay by the week kind of rent.
Right.
And you bring all kinds of traffic into your neighborhood that way.
Yeah.
So I think it's a responsibility of government and those partners that care to look interior in those neighborhoods that you're talking about and work together to get rid of those slum and blighted properties.
Yeah, the rent in itself, people that are just paying even a regular rent, a monthly rent, has been raised, jacked up so significantly since the '08 crisis, the mortgage meltdown, and it's a political play. It's a power grab by the wealthy to take, the middle class, to take the hard-earned money of the folks that are in a position to rent. So what happened is you've got people that were forced out of their homes through loan mods, short sales. The hedge funds come in, these big dollar people come in, the Wall Street money. They buy up the inventory, and then they turn around, and sometimes they do a good quality. They'll go in and clean them up and redo the kitchens, etc. But ultimately, right now for a renter, it's a tough environment.
It's a tough environment, and that's why we'll talk a little later about another one of our lines of business.
Yep.
And that's home ownership.
Right.
That's why we promote home ownership, so you would be able to have a decision whether or not I want to keep paying the high rent.
That's right.
Or whether I want to invest in something to call my own.
Yep.
And have something to pass down to your heirs.
That's right.
A good example, the other day I was meeting with a young lady. She and her boyfriend, they're paying $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath place.
Wow.
$1,500 a month. And when I talked to her and asked her question, why aren't you buying a place?
Yeah.
And then she said, you think we can buy? And she disclosed how much of money they were getting together. And I said, well, how's your credit? Our credit's good. So guess what? We got her in the class. Now she's coming to the class.
Nice.
The first time home buyers class. And a lot of it is because of lack of information.
That's right.
Where to go and what are my options.
That's right. One of the reasons I started this show was a strong moral obligation to give back. I feel, I've got a lot of information, not only around real estate and mortgage, but, just in general, as far as, some of the other things that we do with our speaking business and helping educate people. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to do a home buyer seminar. I've talked with our title partner, Total Title Solutions. We're going to be putting that together probably in April or May, and just really try to help people in that position, because that stories like that, of the person, the people, they're working hard, they're doing their job, they're coming in, they're putting all their money towards a property that's going to line the pockets of the landlord, versus where they could be building up equity in their own, paying down a mortgage, building that legacy that you were mentioning.
Right.
The legacy of your children being able to come in and maybe own that property once you retire, and maybe you move on to an assisted living situation. So yeah, there's definitely a strong moral obligation that we have to give back. And the Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP MVP Realty, we're going to lead the way and help bring that to light.
Right. Good.
That's something we're definitely going to do. Now, Fred Muth, with your company, in terms of what we talk about is adding value to an existing structure, and we love the term, the in-between space, being able to add on a beautiful patio, lanai, beautiful property, addition to a property.
Sure, and back to what we were talking about with the dilapidated neighborhoods, etc.
Yes.
And I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, but I'm unable to sell an enclosure in a dilapidated neighborhood because typically there's no money to do this, and obviously after they're rehabbed, whatever, which I've seen this happen, then we're back in there and we're enhancing these brand new properties with the screen enclosures, etc. Yeah, we call it the in-between space because it's you're not quite outside, you're not quite inside. You're going to spend a lot of time in that in-between space. People move to Florida for the in-between space, basically.
Right.
All right. So when we come back, more from our expert contributors. We've got Fred Muth, attorney Jason Cobal, Icy Goalie here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we have the top 10 U.S. cities with the highest paying jobs and lowest cost of living. We're going to talk about that story on our Feel Good segment. So stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, and a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay. We're looking for real estate inventory right now. There is a severe lack of inventory in the market, and we've got several families looking to move into Tampa Bay, and we just cannot find homes for them. So please reach out if you're a seller, if you're thinking about selling. PlatinumMVPRealty.com. Check out PlatinumMVPRealty.com. You can also call us on our hotline, 813-670-7372. Call or text 813-670-7372. And giving a shout out to Brio Tuscan Grill at the International Plaza. That's our official restaurant partner, 2223 North West Shore Boulevard at the International Mall. And Brio Tuscan Grill, they're offering something cool to our Consumer Quarterback Show fans and followers of the show. If you mention the Consumer Quarterback Show during your visit, you will now get a free appetizer, one of Brio's signature appetizers, just for mentioning the show. And they've got the tomato and mozzarella caprese. They've got the shrimp and eggplant, spicy shrimp and eggplant. That's a good one, right? Jay, you've had that, right?
Excellent.
The beef
Excellent.
carpaccio over there.
Yep.
And some really good bruschetta. So reach out. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. And they're also going to hook you up with a free water with lemon every time you go. Just mention the show.
I like that.
We haven't had lunch yet. Thanks.
We got to get over there, right? Let's get over there. All right, so Fred Muth, the Tin Man in the house. We got attorney Jason Cobal as well, security, Social Security disability. We're going to talk about some consumer issues as well. And then Icy Goli in the house as well, president and CEO, Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services. So I want to go back to Fred and let's talk about, options, Fred. People, I think a lot of times when they think about adding an enclosure onto their home, a nice screen room, I mean, it can add value to the home, the resale value. What are some of the options that people have?
Well, options that I like to talk about are basically the floor designs, the pavers. I have a very good paver contractor that I work with. I don't typically contract through Tampa Screens. And I do have my own concrete contractor that we work with, and I coordinate all this together. When I can basically promote a beautiful cage, the cage would be enhanced by the floor itself. And there's some really nice floor products out there, from travertine to pavers, etc.
Yep.
And when I go to the project, I've been doing it so long, I can see the finished product, and it's part of my job to convey that message to the homeowner. So when you talk about options, we talk about different flooring options, and of course roof designs with the cages. It's always something. You have the mansard, you got the gable. There's a couple of them that we do. We do a double gable, which is nice, and I try to keep the roof design for the screen enclosure similar to the house roof design, because that way when you step back 200, 300 feet and you look at this project, it looks like it was all designed together.
Yeah, that's nice.
I like that
And you
part.
see that in your business when you list them. You obviously, curb appeal is the big item when you're listing, and boy, you drive through these neighborhoods and you can catch the curb appeal, right up front from the enhanced house with the enclosure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And did you have a question for Fred?
I like the part that you give options for the roof, because when you were talking about that enclosure, all I could think about a flat roof is going to start raining in it, and later on. But you pitch most of them.
They pitch.
Okay, I like that.
Many years ago, they were flat roof.
Oh,
products.
I know. That's what. Trouble started.
I worked with a company before I worked with Tampa Screens that it was their father who was very influential in the creation of the pool screen enclosure in 1959. They built the first one out of wood.
Oh,
wow.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Wow,
and,
that's interesting.
And I still stay in touch with the family. They're very good people. But when they build them out of wood, obviously everything is flat. All they cared about was keeping the bugs out of the pool.
I know.
And then one guy came along and said, "Hey, let's paint the wood." Okay, let's paint it bronze. Beautiful.
Okay, and
then the extruder said, "Hey, we can make that out of aluminum."
So they
And
stepped
that's
off
when
from
it started.
that.
Yeah.
Nice.
The vision
The
started.
screened in pool.
Yeah. Now
right.
let's just hope this tariff situation with the aluminum doesn't change my prices this week.
Yeah. What do you see happening there?
It's one more dilemma in the business. I remember in 04 and 05 when things were tremendous. I kept saying to myself, "This is great. What could go wrong? They could run out of bauxite. They could run out of screen. I don't know. What went wrong? The market crashed. Okay,
Yeah.
So something did go wrong. Now things are very, very good. The industry is tremendous.
Yep.
And I didn't say what could go wrong, but I almost said it. Then I watched the news the other day, and I see that the tariffs on aluminum and steel, that obviously is going to hurt the industry.
That's going to hurt
Yeah.
a lot.
You know, the $8,000 cage may be $16,000 next year. I don't know, and so you're going to see the sales of these enclosures fall off for that reason.
Yeah.
Go back,
Potentially.
go
It's
back
going to raise the price, too, of the units.
Let's go back to making them out of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe some type of alternative outside of aluminum. Who knows?
It's the industry's
Pretty
geared
much.
for the aluminum. It'll continue with the aluminum. I don't really know what's going to happen with this tariff
Yeah.
thing, and I don't want to touch that.
Well, let's bring attorney Jason Cobalt into the conversation as well. So, give us an overall, with your first making appearance here on the show, give us an overall, what kind of taste are you looking for to help people?
Well, today I'm here to talk about a new change in the workers' comp system.
Okay.
Now, I fight for injured workers, but I've worked on both sides. And I'm an apolitical guy, and I know this is an apolitical show.
Right.
So I'm not going to get into the politics behind it, but there was a major change that just happened regarding first responders.
Yeah, that's right.
The original law that just recently got changed stood as follows. You needed a corresponding physical injury in order to have a psychiatric injury. So,
Right.
That left, say, first responders responding to an active shooter situation. They weren't getting covered for workers' compensation unless they were physically injured. So you might have a first responder that maybe had to treat somebody who ultimately died, or had to do something horrific
Right.
and develop PTSD. And if they didn't have a permanent or a physical injury, it wasn't covered. So
Wow.
that actually, my friends over at Bickler, Oliver, Longo, and Fox, they spearheaded that project. Before Parkland, it was in the works, and they were getting a little bit of opposition to it. And then Parkland happened, and then all of a sudden, all the opposition disappeared.
Yeah.
And it actually, the votes were unanimous in both the House and the Senate.
Wow.
And so it's sitting on the governor's desk, but it's going to be a new law. So I'm very happy about that for injured workers. I wish it now, hopefully it's a first step towards maybe expanding it, because I think maybe limiting it to first responders isn't quite enough. I mean, there's
Right.
teachers that also witnessed a lot of horrific things that I'm sure could develop PTSD.
Right.
Any faculty member in that situation. So I think eventually, hopefully, they'll expand it beyond first responders.
Right.
But that's a heck of a first step because they weren't included previously.
Yeah, that is. So ultimately now, what is that opening up to them? Is it the insurance benefits?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when you're employed in the state of Florida, if you get hurt in the course and scope of your employment, like it or not, you get forced into the workers' comp system.
Okay.
Now, with that, it's a no-fault system. You don't have to prove fault. All you have to prove is you were on the job, doing your job, and you got injured. You get medical benefits paid for. You don't have to pay anything, not a dollar. They're not allowed to bill you, as I talked about last time. And then you get lost wages. So it's a nice benefit to have, and you don't have to prove negligence like you would in a normal, say, car accident.
Right.
So it was not right that first responders were developing this type of injury and not being covered, because obviously that was related to employment. Those
Yeah.
things don't happen often, but they do happen.
Yeah.
So that's why it was a nice change. But I think hopefully in the future we're going to expand it beyond first responders into anyone who's in the course and scope of their employment that gets subjected to such horrific.
Yeah, it makes
circumstance.
sense. It makes sense. If you just joined us, I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're talking with attorney Jason Cobalt here and talking about ways that, legislation just is going to change in this area related to, the workers' comp. So with a workers' comp claim, for example, the Orlando shooting that happened at the nightclub, that's a scenario where this would kick in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like I said, though, I hope it expands beyond that, because I'll give you a quick example.
Yep.
About 10 years ago, I had a client that I represented, and at that time, the law was what I initially said. If you don't have a corresponding physical injury, there's no psych claim. And I had a waitress who was held at gunpoint for 30 minutes, and the restaurant was robbed.
Wow.
Now, she didn't have a physical injury, but she had really bad PTSD.
Yeah.
And the way the law stood at that time, and actually even the way it sits presently, that's not covered.
Right.
I mean, she's not a first responder. So I would say anybody who's unfortunate enough to be in the course and scope of their employment and get subjected to circumstances that horrific,
Right.
I think they should be covered. But hopefully that's something we could look forward to. And this
Sure.
is a step in the right direction towards that.
Yeah, raising awareness is part one, and getting that in the process is part two. Now, how do they diagnose PTSD? Because I think that's the next question.
Of course. In workers' compensation, the only doctors that are admissible are what are called authorized doctors. That's doctors that the insurance company sets up for you. And if they deny the case, each side gets what's called an independent medical exam, which is an IME. But that's it. So you can't just go to whoever you want. But for PTSD, it's going to have to be a licensed psychiatrist.
Right.
So not a psychologist is the type that they will just talk to you, and a psychiatrist is the MD. They have the ability to prescribe medicine. They are admissible, and that's who would diagnose the PTSD.
Yeah, so they're going to look and see, what are the underlying causes, what are some of the effects of that, and how is that going to affect this person going forward. So it's unfortunately, the common sense side of things does not prevail in our community,
No.
And especially when it gets into politics and the insurance companies and the lobbyists and all that fun stuff. You look at it a much deeper and longer conversation that comes into play. So when we come back, let's dive a little bit deeper into that and maybe some of the other areas that you're helping our listeners with as a local attorney here in Tampa Bay, Attorney Jason Coball. When we come back, Fred Muth as well as Icy Gooley here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we have the top 10 U.S. cities with the highest paying jobs and a low cost of living. So find out more from our expert contributors and our feel-good story of the week as well here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right. All right. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, the Consumer Quarterback Show. Giving a shout out to our sponsor, Mary Maids. They are the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Mary Maids. Let them take care of your winter cleaning. We know clean. Leave the details to us. They have bonded and insured. Their customized cleaning services, screened and trained employees, additional services available, and they are the recipients of the Women's Choice Award, America's most recommended cleaning services services, give a shout out to Mary Maids. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you, and relax, it's done. Mary Maids, our official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, helping you win in any marketplace. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top agent. Got a hot listing I want to let you know about in Largo, 8737 Bardmore Place, unit number 103 in Largo. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath property, condo, and a beautiful property. You can see the pictures from Bray Frameworks. Bray Frameworks does all of our real estate photography. Check it out on our website, consumerqb.com, and platinummvprealty.com as well. And hot property on Clearwater Beach, 1024 Mandalay Avenue in Clearwater. Beautiful property just across the bridge, and it's a world apart. And basically, you're looking at a beautiful area where it's just so quiet on that north side of the beach. 2-bedroom, 2-bath property over on Clearwater Beach in the Carrollel community, and a great buying opportunity in beautiful Tampa Bay.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right. So we're currently talking with attorney Jason Coball and Social Security disability. We talk about workers' comp. You also do personal injury law. So I think Social Security disability is something we wanted to talk about here on the show as well, because there's definitely some consumer advocacy to be done around that area.
Oh, absolutely. It's very unfortunate. You hear it all the time on the news and during the political races that the system is running out of money, and that's just a fact. Will it be there when I'm that age for retirement? Who knows? And, of course, Social Security disability, the same issue. So what I've experienced in my practice is there's a lot of people that I know deserve it who get rejected and denied, maybe having conditions that I feel personally they are shoo-in, but they still have to jump through the hoops where what happens is you apply. It takes about 3 or 4 months to get the first denial. Then you do a request for reconsideration, which is basically a fancy way of saying appeal.
Yep.
You appeal it, takes another 3 months, and then you get a second denial, and then you request a hearing, and that could take anywhere from 12 months to 18 months.
Wow.
Which is a long time before you finally get in front of the judge, and that's where I get to present evidence. So the first 2 decisions are made just in-house, where it's not really a judge. It's not anybody that could be held accountable, but
Right.
you go before the judge at the hearing. I get to present evidence, and those judges could be appealed, and nobody likes to get reversed. So there's a lot of clients I feel that, they should have never been denied, and I personally feel like the system, they hope that people they give up, and they don't jump through all the hoops. So if you
Right.
get denied for Social Security, please give me a call.
Yeah.
Definitely. It doesn't cost you anything for a consultation to see if you could be eligible, and you'd be surprised. So if you feel that you could no longer work because of an injury, give me a call.
Yeah. So what give us an example of something like that where it may have happened? Maybe, how can they, I know there's some marginal lines there. What's a consideration?
No, that's a great question. The number one thing to look at, I once had a client who came to me, and he had, no lie, he had AIDS. He had a heart attack, and he had cancer, and they were denying him. And now, in that case, it didn't have to go through all the hoops. I wrote a nasty letter, and he got approved. It was nice, but the key was it's not about what conditions you have, and people really need to realize this. It's about what restrictions the doctors say your conditions puts on you.
Right.
So it's that you could have the worst condition in the world, because a lot of people have terrible conditions, and they're still able to function. So if your doctor could be maybe just focused only on the medical care and not really mentioning your limitations, you better make sure that you get that in black and white, because that's what they look at to determine if you're disabled.
Right.
So if you have the restrictions, like say you would need a job that requires you to sit and stand as much as you want, you need a break for 20 minutes every 2 hours where you have to go lay down. There's no job in the national economy that could adhere to all those restrictions.
Right.
So that person, it's called gritting out. They would grit out and be approved. So, the key is don't focus just on the condition. Focus on what is the doctor saying about my restrictions.
Okay, yeah. So the restrictions, that's the key, because that's going to impede them from earning.
Correct.
And then that's where the Social Security, it's created. You think about this program was created, gosh, how many years back? It was a program that was created for this exact situation. Hey, we're aging, we're working, we're putting monies in, and now what has really depleted this Social Security? I mean, is it sheer numbers of boomers?
Sure numbers, and then there was some fraud.
Yeah.
There's people that you see that they're able to do things, and they've been collected for years. So there's always cracks in the system. But unfortunately, those people that defrauded the system, they've ruined it now
Right.
for good people that are trying to get it now.
Yep.
So, and it's just, there's a lot to the system, and a lot of changes could be made. And I'm sure we'll figure something out. But the bottom line is, because it is in financial distress, if you get denied, don't just give up, because a lot of
Right.
people are getting denied right now. That's normal.
Yeah, don't give up. Don't despair. Don't, it kind of goes back to that fear, that thing that people have in their mind, where fear just kind of jumps into their mind. It paralyzes the movement. It creates a situation where, they're not seeking new ideas. They're not seeking new perspectives. The quality of your life comes down to the quality of questions you ask yourself. Right. If you're beating yourself up every day, asking the same questions, why this happened to me? Why am I getting, ask the right questions, reach out to the right people. 813-670-7372. That's our consumer advocate hotline. If you or maybe a loved one has a situation where you've been denied Social Security benefits, you have consumer issues, we have attorney Jason Cobal here as one of our contributors, a legal contributor on the Consumer Quarterback Show. 813-670-7372. And you can also submit an email form, consumerqb.com. Just submit the form at consumerqb.com. It'll send an email directly to my team. We're going to make sure we get back to you before our head hits the pillow. So, Jason, another area is personal injury. We see personal injury accidents. There's slip and falls. There's auto accidents that happen. So this is another area where you're protecting consumers.
Oh, absolutely. Going back real quick to Social Security, one other point I forgot to mention is the attorney's fees. If I lose, I don't get paid. Right. And I don't ask my clients for $1 up front. Mm-hmm. The attorney's fees are the same for everybody who's practicing in that field. It's capped at $6,000. And what it is 25% of their back pay, because, you have to pick an onset date. That's the date they were disabled. By the time they approve it, it could be sometimes 3 years. It depends on the situation. So the back pay could never be more than $6,000. So it's 25% or $6,000. So it's not going to cost you $1 to go get an attorney to look at your case or even take it up. And if they lose, you don't have to owe them anything.
That's a good point.
So, definitely worth looking into. But now going back to personal injury, that's where you see all the billboards. All the attorneys want to do it. Yep. That is like night and day compared to workers' comp and Social Security disability. Those fees are much smaller. But personal injury, it's definitely, if you've been injured, and it's someone else's fault, you definitely need someone who specializes in that.
Right.
I would love you to call me, but it's definitely, you get pain and suffering, you get mental anguish, you get all the things you don't get in those other fields, you get in
different types of damages. I remember from my business law classes, they broke down the different type: compensatory, punitive damages. So this is the one that most attorneys go after, a lot of attorneys go after, because of the potential for a large settlement and a large attorney fee. Typically about a 33%. Is that what most people...
What it is standard. Pretty much everybody charges the same thing. It's 33% pre-suit. That means, I have a lot of cases I never have to file suit. Filing suit is where you file the complaint. You start to take the matter before a jury.
Right.
It takes a long time to get there. But if you settle it, if you work out a deal before you have to file that, it's 33%.
Okay.
Usually, if you don't work it out pre-suit, then you have to ask the client's permission to file suit, which would be 40%.
Okay. So you get a little bit more to offset some of the cost of the attorney's fees, the time going down there, court costs. So if you just joined us, Brandon Rhymes here, we're talking with attorney Jason Cobal. And so it's an interesting space. You look at the world we live in. There's a lot of dangers, and it is a litigious society. We keep hearing that. We see that a lot. So when it comes to personal injury law, it's important to understand, what are these different types of scenarios? Maybe you could give us a couple examples of what people should look for.
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you one that's missed a lot. I had, and it's not only missed by consumers, it's actually missed by some lawyers who don't know all the various angles. Say, for example, you're in the course and scope of your employment, and you get injured. I have a nurse as one of my clients. She's a traveling nurse, and she was employed with the company, got rear-ended by another vehicle who had no insurance. So no BI. The first thing that pays for, the first coverage that comes is called PIP, Personal Injury Protection.
Right.
That's your own insurance for $10,000.
Yep.
After that, you turn to the bodily injury of the at-fault party. If that's zero, then it goes to your UM, and we talked about the importance of having UM in Florida.
Uninsured motorist.
Right. But sometimes you could even be covered by your employer's UM. And in certain lines of work, and in this particular situation, there was $1 million policy that this person had access to that I was able to obtain for them that this other attorney didn't even know to look for.
Wow.
So yeah, you always got to make sure if you're hurt and it's someone else's fault, talk to an expert. Make sure you look at every angle, especially UM, your own UM, but even through your employer.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely want to make sure you're reaching out. Consumer Quarterback Show. That's what we've assembled. We've vetted, 80 plus show partners here. We have the best in all areas of business and finance and health and nutrition and legal to help you understand more about these decisions and connect you with the right person to avoid a lot of the commission-based advice and not leave money on the table in these scenarios here. So stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, we're going to jump into our lightning round, and we also have Icy Gooley. She's going to be talking about down payment assistance programs, ways that you can get into a home with less money out of pocket and sometimes even no money out of pocket. So stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man, Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in 813-773-1253. Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing at 813-773-1253. Check out PlatinumMVPRealty.net. PlatinumMVPRealty.net.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top listing agent in Tampa Bay. I'm looking for other real estate agents to join our team. We'd love to have you on our team. If you want to grow your business, grow your sphere of influence, and become an expert contributor on our radio and TV show, call or text 813-670-7372, 813-670-7372, or submit the
listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty. Looking for a bilingual and a Spanish real estate agent. If you know of anybody out there, have them reach out. We'd love to talk to them. Also, looking for sellers right now. We have a lack of inventory in the marketplace. Looking for inventory. If you're a seller thinking about selling calling, we'd love to offer you a free comparable market analysis. Basically, the same thing. You pay $500 for an appraisal. We'll give it to you for free. Compliments of Platinum MVP Realty and the Consumer Quarterback Show. All you have to do is reach out to our hotline. We'd love to help you with that. All right, so we've got Icy Gooley rounding out our expert contributor panel. So, Icy, let's jump right into it. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's down payment dollars there. There's SHIP funds. There's all these different types of funds. What is the most common, or what do you think is the best, most relevant here?
Okay, it depends upon that household income.
Yes.
Because the SHIP money will allow you to go up to 120% of area median income.
Okay.
Where the home dollars would allow you to go up to 80% of median income.
Okay.
And we do have partnerships with Pinellas County, and we also have partnership with the city of Clearwater.
Okay.
And Pinellas County and the city, they have $20,000 that's available. But the interesting thing is if they want to build a new house, and that's one thing I want to talk to you about too.
Okay.
We provide assistance with new construction in 2 left behind neighborhoods in Clearwater.
Nice.
That's known as the North and South Greenwood community. We have built about 250 new houses.
Wow.
In partnership with the city of Clearwater and the private sector, the banks. And in those markets, the low income census tract, more down payment is available.
Wow.
And that's to help stimulate revitalization in those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So whether 20,000 would be a normal cap for some, and the lower your income, for an example, if you were under 80%, you could get up to the maximum, maybe from the county.
Yep.
Where if you're using the SHIP SHIP dollars, you may get 10,000.
Right.
It could vary. And like I said, it's a good thing because that little gap sometimes is the deciding point of whether or not you're going to be able to get into that home.
Right.
And I'm not afraid of the homeownership piece because I bought my first house when I was 19, and my husband was 23, but he was a service guy.
Yep.
We didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we ended up in a year-old house. It was a year-old.
Yep.
And but today there is assistance available. But Brandon, I want to say this: not only do we at Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services provide assistance for down payment assistance, and I was saying earlier in our meeting, we've been around since 1979. We have a holistic approach to neighborhood revitalization.
Nice.
And we serve 3 counties, Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough.
Yep.
So we realize putting a person in a home is not the wherewithal.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure they're strong components of the neighborhoods in which they are going to make their investment.
Yeah.
So we have 4 lines of business. We have homeownership, housing rehabilitation, economic development, and education. So there's support for someone else because in many of our neighborhoods, you want to know that you have goods and services that's going to be nearby. Get your hair cut or nails done or, or something like that.
That's right.
And we work very closely with partners, be it the police department, code enforcement, because we are trying to eradicate those conditions that's causing those neighborhoods to be neglected. Right.
Yeah. So that's a great point. So a couple takeaways from the down payment assistance programs. They are based on income levels. So we want to have you reach out, find out if you do qualify. The other side of it is kind of like you mentioned when you bought your first home when you're 19. Didn't know what you're doing. A lot of times, in life and business, we don't know what we're doing fully until we take that first step.
Right.
You take the first step, the second step will appear. You jump, make the leap, and then you're able to get into a position. So, anybody listening, I would love for you to reach out. We would love to help you. And if there's a program out there, what we could do, we also will help out for the first 5 listeners that reach out or call in or take advantage here. We'll rebate with Platinum MVP Realty if we represent you you, we will rebate a quarter to a half a point back as well. That's our commissions that we're going to give back to you at closing to further amplify what Icy and her team can do to help you.
And I just want to chime in and say we do provide first-time home buyers classes, workshop. We believe in having a educated borrower.
Right.
Before. And the banks want to see that too. It's sort of a requirement that you go do somewhere. And it's a certificate program. And we provide it for 3 counties, but we also provide it online. We call it eHome America. So if you don't have time to come to the Saturday class, you can do it online.
Wow, that makes it so easy. Accessing things online, being able to, utilize the resource of the internet to do it at your own leisure. So we would urge you to reach out and find out, find out more about how much of this money can I get. Everybody's looking for, the money. They're looking for, ways to make new money. This is money that's already there for you. It's a program that's set aside by the municipalities here locally in Tampa Bay. You said that Pinellas County, the city of Clearwater, and so you have it available. You're also servicing Pasco, Hillsborough, as well.
And we have relationships with other entities, like here in Tampa. There's another affiliate of our network here in Tampa that do some of the same things.
That's awesome. So breaking it down, you got to find out where does your income break down? Is it a single earner income? Is it a 2 earner? Household income? You got to find out there. Get into the classes and find out about that. So our feel-good story of the week, we talked about the top 10 U.S. cities with highest paying jobs and low cost of living. All right, so number 10 on the list. Let's see. We've got number 10 here, Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's number 10, $86,000 annual income. $1,300 monthly rent average, and annual cost of necessities $23,000. These are all pretty close. Number 9 is coming in is Dallas, Texas. Texas coming in at $76,000 in annual income. Tampa, Florida, number 8 on the list as far as average income in Tampa Bay is $80,000. You got a median monthly rent of $1,344, and the annual cost of necessities $23,035. So breaking down the top 10, number 7 is Bakersfield, California. Number 6, Omaha, Nebraska, and you've got Durham, North Carolina. Coming in at number 4 is Phoenix, Arizona. Number 3, Lexington, Kentucky. Number 2, Kansas City, Missouri, and number 1 is Oklahoma City. So the average income in Oklahoma City, $72,000, monthly median rent $1,000, and the annual cost of necessities $18,701. So you see the annual cost of the different necessities very low there. The rent is low in Oklahoma City. So
is that income per family?
Yeah, let's see. So this is breaking it down. Yeah, this is talking about the cities based on estimated annual expenses and thanks to an average annual income. So, yeah, I guess it must be per family, per household, maybe.
Right.
Yep. So the 10 places based there. So yeah. So it's interesting.
When I told them, we're not all attorneys.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's because then you get into the conversation of student debt, right? How much student debt, and a lot of experts think that that's the next bubble. That's the next bubble coming. There's about 24 months out. I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk on a Facebook Live. He was talking to a group of realtors on a Facebook Live, and I was just kind of watching. And he talked about how 24 months out, we're going to see a huge bubble. Now, how is that going to affect? How is it going to trickle down? Will it hit housing? How much of it's going to affect? And I think another bubble that I see out there is the commercial real estate space in terms of retail commercial real estate space. Because you look at the trend to online, the eBays, the Amazons, even Walmart.com, a lot of these companies, Wayfair, making such a strong push into that sector. I see that affecting commercial real estate. Now, I think we're insulated here in Tampa. St. Pete, Clearwater is such a hotbed for, new investment, new infrastructure. But, just in general speaking, I think it's, changes to come. That's the one thing that's certain. Yep. There's change always, coming. So,
and, it doesn't matter what area we talk about. It's the affordability word we got to keep before us.
Affordability?
Yes, because the spaces, I know, because we're trying to start in Enterprise Endeavor, our agency, and finding affordable commercial space to start it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there's so much of competition that will pay so much more.
That's right. You got sometimes you got to birth it out of home, out of home-based businesses, and then you kind of birth it there. But I want to thank Fred Muth, aka the Tin Man, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Thanks for coming in, sir. Attorney Jason Cobal, thank you very much for dropping the knowledge with us today.
My pleasure.
Icy Goalie as well, President CEO Clearwater Neighborhood Housing. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Pack up some food, some clothing, carry it with you to and from your commute, and hand it to that person that you see in need. Be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback Show, weekday afternoons at 5 on AM 1380. The Biz.